If you are a diabetic on the budget, you should love soups. They are economical, nutritious, easy to make, filling, and tasty. What's not to love? This is my mom, Eva.
Hello.
She's a queen of veggies and a queen of soups. She makes really delicious soups from scratch. Growing up, there was always some soup simmering on the stove. The smell was out of this world. How many different soups can you make?
18.
18? That's a lot. What's your favorite?
Dyniowa.
Pumpkin. But that's not the easiest soup to make, at least not the way you make it. Let's show people something simple. What's the easiest soup you can make?
Wszystkie są łatwe.
They are all easy. I agree. And after you watch this video, you will never be afraid of making soup again. Diabetes sucks.
But at Simply Diabetes, we can help you manage your diabetes cheaper and easier.
We are not medical professionals. We are people with diabetes, just like you. Soups are my go-to food to eat when the weather turns colder. They are filling and can make us feel warm on a cold winter day. Even here in Las Vegas, it can be cold in December.
Zupy są tanie i pożywne.
Soups are economical and nutritious. That's if you make one from scratch yourself. If you buy one, not so much. In a restaurant, a bowl of soup often costs a fortune, and even prepared soup in a grocery store is ridiculously expensive. And don't get me started on canned soups. Their taste is disappointing, and the price is through the roof. On top of that, many commercial soups have a lot of salt and tons of added sugar, but not enough of the good stuff. Who needs sugar in a soup? If you want something quick and easy to fill you up cheaply, but that won't raise your sugar much, try a homemade soup made from scratch. Not every soup, though. Some soups are too high in carbs. For example, potato soup, not surprisingly, is carby from these potatoes. And any soup that contains pasta or rice is probably not the best soup for us. So pick something less carby than chicken noodle, for example. With soups I make, you can eat a lot before you hit a high carb count. Most of mom's soup are similar.
When you live in a desert like we do, soups can fill one more function. They hydrate us. That's important everywhere, not just in the arid Southwest.
Zupy są łatwe.
Making soup is easy. I used to know a guy who was a very good cook. He could make great meat dishes, but he would never consider making soup. He thought it was some kind of arcane sorcery that only a few chosen people knew how to do. It always made me laugh because soups are in fact very simple. If you find making soups mysterious, keep watching and we'll make it easy. The best thing about making soup is that the process is very forgiving. There is a recipe, but you don't have to follow it exactly. If you add more of one ingredient and less of another, it's fine. The soup might taste a little bit different, but it will still be good. One thing people are sometimes wary about is that soups take time and they don't want to get stuck in the kitchen. I understand this perfectly. I too hate cooking. The soup takes time to simmer, but you can set it and leave it for 30 minutes or so. The way I make soups, the actual time I spend in the kitchen is not much, just enough to chop the ingredients. Once we put the ingredients in the pot, we can do something else while the soup is simmering. Don't forget your soup is cooking though. It contains a lot of liquid, but if you abandon it for a long time, it too can burn eventually. I always set a timer just in case. To make good soup, you need veggies. I have no problem with veggies, but as a kid, I didn't like the boiled stuff my mom would pull out of the pot after the soup was done. So I asked my grandma to make me soup with no veggies. She tried to tell me soup without veggies would taste horrible, but I didn't want to hear it. So she decided to teach me a lesson. She made me the soup I wanted. She put only meat and water in a pot, added a bit of salt, and boiled it. I was excited. Finally, no limp, pale, unappetizing stuff, just clear soup. But I quickly noticed the smell of my soup wasn't that enticing. Still, I was happy. Then I took one spoonful of this meat water and spat it out. It was inedible. Yuck! It was a good lesson. That's how I learned veggies are essential for soup, even if you don't later eat them. When I grew up and started making my own soup, I figured out how to make veggies in my soup more appetizing. By the way, you should eat the veggies from the soup. Even Ken eats them. If you find them unappealing, you can always run your soup through a blender. To make soup taste good quickly, many recipes call for broth. You can buy some, but that's expensive and completely unnecessary. Broth is easy to make if you want to do it, but it's not quick. I can't remember the last time I made some, and I make soups from scratch often, particularly now that the weather has turned colder. I cheat. I use bouillon cubes in my soup. Hey, I never claimed my cooking was gourmet. The cubes work, they are inexpensive, and their nutrition stats aren't bad. They contain a lot of salt, but so does commercial broth. And I only use a little bit. Mom doesn't use broth either. Well, that's not quite accurate. She kind of makes simplified broth as a soup base. She packs it full of veggies too. She'll show us in a moment. Now that our soup base is ready, we can add flavorings. You can use just about anything for it. Typically, people use tomato paste, or mushrooms, or broccoli. But you can also add carrots plus peanut butter, or spinach, or cauliflower, or parsnip. The choices are endless.
Just don't add cake.
If you have veggies lingering in your fridge, don't let them go bad. Add them to your soup. I make such a clean the fridge soup whenever too many veggies accumulate in my crisper. Because what I find in the fridge varies from one time to the next, each such soup is unique. But I like using up all we have and wasting nothing. Another thing that is good to add to a soup are beans. Beans are great if you have diabetes because they provide fiber and protein while only raising blood sugar a moderate amount. If money is tight, beans are cheap if you buy dry and soak them overnight. This is much cheaper than canned and also healthier. Beans go with lots of veggies, so they will be fine with most soups. For protein, I add turkey meatballs or leftover grilled meat, eggs, or sausage. You can also add fish or shrimp. My soups are so filling, our meal often consists of just soup. Nobody said you can only have one bowl. What is your favorite soup? Tell us about it in the comments. We'd love to see your recipes.
If you found this video helpful, give us a like and subscribe to our Simply Diabetes channel. And tell your friends about us. That's the best way to help us reach people who need help managing their diabetes.
See you next week.